and said because he was going to get me everything. I haven't heard from John since then. He said he was in the hospital with his wife.
Well, I think I got them in the paper on Monday anyway, it was Saturday.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Doesn't get public. Dave was supposed to give you a package.
Let me just take this.
Right. He usually give Erwin a package of all the costs for the flooding.
John forwarded it to you yesterday.
John has it.
That would be.
The stuff from Public Works for this floods.
There was a flood order.
A flow thing, yeah.
A flow thing.
There were two pieces.
Breakdown.
There was a picture, says the attached. That's the two things he gave me.
Hey, Chris, could you text to Booker the meeting invite?
Yeah.
Could you?
Oh, could I?
He said he's driving in the car, I guess.
Text it to him?
Chief, fine, how are you? Everyone, how are you? We are here.
Yeah.
If not, I can send it over now. I think I have it on my email.
What are we looking for?
There were two things. One was from Two Rivers Sewage Authority on excess flow, and then there was another.
That's this one.
I have copies of them.
Okay, yes.
And the other one, I sent as a picture, because he gave it to me as a printout.
Picture of this.
Yeah, it would have been happening there, additional expenses
What if I take a picture of it?
with the Word document.
Oh, yeah.
Give it a look.
Well, you need to read it.
No, he just told me he was going to forward it to Erwin, but I guess he didn't. And here it comes.
Here it comes. Is that your entire page?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do anything for the businesses that had to close, weren't able to open, and that kind of, would we like to capture that kind of number somehow?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how to do that, you know, the businesses that are closed, and, but the Two Rivers wasn't a lot of money.
Is there an authorized public one?
It's a Word document.
It says $1,149, is that total?
Yeah, let's see, 946, total expense for 1223. And then 1224, they had another.
About $2,000 combination with it.
So you figure that happens 4 or 5 times a year?
Did you look through that? Thank you.
Take a look at it.
Sir.
We have the books.
Yes. Councilman Callahan is there.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to today's workshop meeting. We'll begin with the pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This meeting is now called to order. I'm on the Borough Supervisor Paul City Policy Open Government and in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. I wish to advise you that the notice of this meeting was sent to the Edison Department Press and the newspapers on January 10, 2023. In each instance, the date, time, and location of this meeting will be provided in the notice. This meeting is open to the public. Roll call. Councilmember Bieber. Here.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Jeff. Booker.
Did you read that yet?
Catalana. Sam, can you speak?
Yeah.
Well, I see you guys online.
I don't think she's on. Okay.
Gordon.
Here.
And
Here.
And Mayor Kelly is here too. All right, we'll begin with remarks from
Morning.
the audience.
Morning, everyone.
Hey, morning. Morning. Does anybody in the crowd, does anybody online like to be heard, just please state your name and address and you can address the governing body for up to 3 minutes. Is there anybody? I'd like to speak to that.
Just reporting you present, Mayor. It's Jeff.
Got it, Jeff, thanks. All right, so the first item, actually, we're going to potentially hold off till later in the meeting or another day. So ordinance 17/2023 is going to, I'm just going to skip over that for now. And then we may review it later. All right, and then we're on to items for discussion. The first one is the demonstration from the TextMyGov people. And I believe, is that Terry? Who's the, Joe knows and presenting?
Well, Josh was supposed to join. I don't know if he's there.
He's not.
He's not.
All right, so the first two items will carry today's day of the meeting. So moving on, Joe, to capital projects update.
We have 3 items. I know Erwin wants to speak to the Army Corps meeting. May as well go ahead, Councilman.
Okay, this will be quick. So on November 20th, there was an Army Corps of Engineers meeting. It was a webcast, which was also supported by the Department of Environmental Protection. There's not going to be any surprises in this, and there's not going to be any good news either. Jason Shea is the Army Corps of Engineers Project Management Manager, and Glenn Golden is for the Department of Environmental Protection. This particular webcast was around the Seabright to Manasquan Beach Replenishment Program. That's managed out of the Army Corps of Engineers New York District, right? Philly and New York are both close by. But they did a pretty good job during the webcast. There were about 40 people who attended. The focus of the meeting was clearly around the Seabright to Manasquan Beach, and it's divided into 2 sections. Obviously, we're the northernmost section. If anybody's interested in actually seeing the presentation, which is an audio link as well as the charts, all you have to do is Google search Seabright to Manasquan Beach Replenishment, and it's the first thing that comes up on the search. So what they basically said in a nutshell, it was about an hour, but what they basically said is based on surveys that they've been doing and plans that are in place, their primary focus at this point in time is Monmouth Beach and Elberon, which is no surprise to any of us. Several of us have spoken to the Army Corps and the Department of Environmental Protection before. And the reason for that is, according to them, that's been a long-planned activity, and both of those areas have been hit worse than other areas along the Jersey Shore. Now, we see the Monmouth Beach activity clearly because we see the pipe on the Shrewsbury River and the pumping that's going on there. And Elberon is also part of that project. That's going to be ongoing for a while. They also went into a discussion about various means of trying to reduce beach erosion. Things like jetties, offshore man-made reefs, beach burning, and different methods. All of us have seen things you can put in the ocean to try to capture the sand. And after a long discussion about the various alternatives, they basically said we're not recommending any of those. So there's nothing significant that they see on the horizon that would diminish the way they presently do beach replenishment, which is clearly either just pumping from somewhere and entering a harbor or out the river itself. They didn't favor any approach. They didn't comment on any of them. They said they study them. And one person asked the question, I see them all over the place. I see them down in Florida. I see them in Hawaii. And they basically said, based on the nature of our flow and the way it operates, they haven't envisioned one that would actually make much of a difference. So they're not planning any capital projects of significance to put things in place to try to stop it. They talk about continuing to pump the sand. So I wasn't satisfied, obviously, so I asked them 4 questions. They were very accommodating for the questions. There were probably 25 questions asked. The first one I said was, with the significant erosion that's presently occurring on Seabright Beach, is there any plan or commitment to Seabright replenishment? The answer was no. They said they continually monitor things. The Army Corps of Engineers will continue to monitor it. And if we have any major problem, we should report it to the Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Environmental Protection. I basically told them in some sections, we're starting to see the ocean come up to the seawall. And I tried to alarm them a little bit during the conversation to basically say it's going to undermine the seawall, which was put in place by the Army Corps of Engineers. So hopefully you're watching it closely. But we had spoke with them in person a while ago. We asked them the same question when they visited the beach. John, you were there, if you remember, and Sam was there also. They presently have nothing on the books scheduling Seabright in the near term. They said it's a 6 to 7 year cycle. We had our last replenishment about 2 years ago. If everything holds, it will probably happen in another 3 to 4 years, unless, they always put it this way, unless catastrophe hits, and then the Army Corps of Engineers will come in and remedy the situation like they did in the past post Sandy. The second question I asked was, does the Army Corps or Department of Environmental Protection monitor the content and quality of the sand dredged from the Madison to Shrewsbury River? Because we all know that that's what's happening right now, and we all know there's a potential for sediment or contamination or other things in that dredge that may not be favorable. Their answer was, yes, they constantly monitor it. They have people that look for contaminants, quality, grain size, and color. And if they see anything out of whack, they stop dredging in that location and they go somewhere else until they find adequate sand. So we know that what's coming up on the beach south of us is a different color, right? It's river sand instead of beach sand, and you wash it out over time. But they said that all of their testing indicates that what they're presently dredging is fine. You see the long pipe that sits in Shrewsbury River. They're taking it all the way from as far north as you can in town and picking it up incrementally along the way. The next question I asked, and it's something I'm always concerned about, is what happens when crisis hits somewhere else in the country, Louisiana, Hawaii? What happens to the funding of the Army Corps of Engineers? Because it's not, a bucket. They said that the Army Corps of Engineers has seen adequate funding for the New Jersey shore replacement, and they don't expect to see any problems in the near term on critical projects that require funding. So they claim that the Jersey shore replenishment has not been, and they don't expect it to be hit by problems in other parts of the country, yet to be seen. The last question I asked them is, what's the duration of the congressional legislation to continue New Jersey replenishment? It was a 50-year program that was put in place in the 40s. And it goes out to, the 90s, not 40s, out to 2047. So they said right now, if nothing else changes, they plan to maintain that program till 2047 on a 6 to 7 year cycle, putting aside the crisis. So the bottom line of the meeting, like I said, went about an hour long. No plan or commitment on the books for our replenishment. The only thing I guess I can say is we'll see what happens with the sand that's going on the beach, because it tends to come our way anyway. So hopefully we can get some benefit.
That's what Elmore is.
What's that?
That's what Elmore
Elberon's.
Yeah.
Good
is. Like
stuff.
right there.
Yeah, a little further away, but yeah. So that's it, unless there's any questions.
I just had, I talked to Jeff. Jeff,
Yeah, he's listening.
he was recently appointed to, what was the committee you've been appointed to, Jeff?
It was the Jersey Shore Partnership Board of Directors.
And I thought if we were working with him, I think we should try to establish a little bit of working relationship, long-term relationship with the Army Corps and Frank Malone and our other representatives. The point I'd like to make with them is that Seabright is the most exposed of all the communities on the north of the shore. In the Superstorm Sandy, we were devastated, whereas Mama Beach, Long Branch, Eagle down there, there was a coastal factor. But for Seabright, the coastal factor is the town. And I think, again, we could establish a little better working relationship with them. Maybe working for Jeff on his committee appointment he has. That's just my thought on that.
It can't hurt. The other thing.
Kerwin, question, did anything come up about, like, testing, like incubators? Like, I know they've evaluated other ideas and they don't see anything, but are they open to the idea of, like, out of the box, just certain towns, municipalities saying they want to test some ideas?
Well, they didn't say that specifically, Heather, but what they did show a variety of different diagrams of type of mitigating structures.
Yeah.
And they did not speak favorably of any of them.
Right.
So my guess is if we went to them, unless we had something that was revolutionary, we've never seen before, they had about 8 or 9 different things that we could do. And they said they don't believe any of them would make much of a difference here. I find that hard to believe personally, but that's what these people do, right? That's what their profession is. So, if we have an idea that's different and novel and we bring it to them, maybe they would be receptive to it, but they did have quite a few different alternatives. The only other thing I would add, not from this call, is when Sam, John, I think it may have been Jeff also, and I met with Army Corps of Engineers and DEP, we asked them whether or not we could do any scraping, moderate scraping, to recreate berms where they're lost. And you may remember the comment they made. They basically said, you can do no scraping anywhere on the beach unless you apply for a permit. And if you apply for a permit, it will take at least 1.5 years to get reviewed, after which time the answer will probably be no.
And also, we can't apply for the permit because they've not approved our municipal public access plan yet. Remember, he was,
Yeah.
he said, what do you mean? And I said, you've had it for, how long have they had it? A year?
Longer than I can remember.
So there's nothing encouraging that came out of this, and a lot of this stuff is based on,
But let's say that option is permanent.
5 to 10 year plan. A lot of this stuff, I'm used to Army contracts.
That's what I expected.
Government contracts.
I didn't hear that.
They're years in advance.
Especially locally, we looked at yearly replenishment, but it's just not reality.
No.
It's, but thanks for the update on that.
Yep, no problem.
Meeting.
You got
Just quick, so, all right, so we wrapped up 2A, and I'm just going to come back to questions afterwards, but attorney advice, we're going to pivot back to the ordinance number 17, just from a timing stand. So we'll bang that out, hopefully, and then we'll come back to the on the agenda. That's what it means. So switching back to ordinance introduction for ordinance number 17, 2023, an ordinance vacating portions of certain streets known as South Street, River Street, Core Block 13, Lot 17, and an unnamed street, Copper Place, and accepting the location of certain streets known as proposed Front Street and proposed Lot 13, Lot 4, in the borough of Seabright, County of Monmouth. Would anyone like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 17, 2023?
So,
All right, council members Bieber,
yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Emma,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Keeler,
Yes.
and Lon.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 17, 2023 has been introduced.
But there would also need to, send a written resolution for a special meeting.
On the 28th?
December 28th, 7 p.m. unless you want to change
Let's
the
see,
time.
we're gonna do it at 8:30.
8:30 a.m.
Is it 8:30 a.m.?
I would do a call into that for everybody.
Okay.
For one item agenda for a special meeting.
It'll simply be a public hearing, adoption of this ordinance.
So will we have a, make it just remote, or should we,
I'm sorry?
some people want to attend in person, should I make it just virtual, or like
Oh.
a regular meeting like this?
I guess, anybody opposed to making it virtual? I mean, it's only going to be probably one quick vote meeting.
When
Anybody,
it allows public attendance virtually.
Yeah.
yes? Anybody opposed? John? All right. Yeah, I guess it's, virtual works great.
Okay,
So I guess that would be, let's see, would anybody make a motion, a resolution establishing a special meeting on December 18th at 8:30 a.m.?
December 28th,
I'm sorry, December 28th,
8:30.
8:30 a.m. to, for a public hearing on ordinance 17, 2023. Thanks, John.
Second.
So moved.
All right, thanks, John. Councilmembers Bieber,
Yes.
Booker,
Yes.
Catalano,
Yes.
Work,
Yes.
Hewitt, and Lon.
Yes.
Passes. Thanks, guys. And then, so again, that'll be a remote call-in, one agenda meeting, one topic meeting, and thanks for setting it up. Okay, so we'll go back. All right, so we'll go, we can do so it'll be too far back. We'll come back to 2B in a bit. We'll go back to other items for discussion and things like demonstration. Is that Josh?
Yes.
All right, Josh, we're back to your agenda item. If you are free to speak, and the floor is yours.
They're all muted. Do we have them muted?
He's okay now.
Yes, good morning, how are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in.
Good. Yeah, appreciate it. I am, crazy, I don't want to forget too much about it, so we should kind of jump into it here. If you want to make these posts so I can share my screen with you.
Give her 1 second. She's on the hotline.
this is hot, this is hot.
You're getting a messenger to pick up the ordinance, so it can
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes, so it gets published online.
Hey Josh, you're coming through partially muffled. I don't know if you have a different mic you can use, but it's a little hard to understand it.
We didn't get instructions, so we're a lot bigger there.
Not much of a difference.
Sort of right. We didn't have
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Is it fun?
We're multitasking here, Josh. You'll have to give us a moment.
No worries.
Wait, it's on out.
Motion to
Anyone familiar with go-to meeting? It's not like
Yeah, Josh.
Be right with you, Josh.
Yeah, no worries.
Mayor, 2B and C are relatively easy, only because the LEAP grant has been renamed to the School Regionalization Efficiency Program Grant. So that's the grant we'll be applying for with Atlantic Highlands and Highlands to fund a review or an additional update of our existing regionalization study. So that's what C is. It's a request for proposals from consultants to update our study. If you remember, that's what we were fighting the state over last time. So we're going to do it right this time. And those are the two items there. In addition to that, Greg Blash and I met with Dave Barley and Rob, and we went over our capital plan for 2023. Greg has gotten me some proposals to do the work, the relining of the sewer on Ocean Avenue downtown, the pole barn, for lack of a better term, and Greg, this pump station at the new project, and there was streets, our road program. So I think we're kind of on board for that. We're ready to go. We couldn't do anything now because of the end of the year. So Mike Bascom was part of that after the meeting. I updated Mike, and a couple of them, we have $130,000 for the relining downtown, not enough. It's $250 or something. So we're going to need a bond for that, the additional funding to get that done, because someday the DOT is going to drive in here and start repaving. We just don't know when. I mean, last time they just showed up.
Yeah, they did.
They started paving. So we want to get that one done first. So we're going to need additional funding for that. And, you know, we keep talking about the pole barn, but you're seeing more and more stuff out in the parking lot because they're all just, there's no other place to put it. So, Greg, once you get the green light on the building, a year?
Right, yeah, 9 months at the absolute best, but it's going to most likely be a year.
Joe, just a quick question on the regionalization. Between the application for the grant, RFPs, selecting a contractor or an attorney, whatever it is, and then going forward, what's the reason behind that?
Didn't we ask that question at one point to Vito, if he was the selected applicant? I think he said that.
Oh, wait, hang on. He did say how long it would take to conduct it, but I'm worried about is the lead grant period of time. Because if that takes 6, 12 months to get approval on, we're stuck in water.
I don't know what the lead time is, to be perfectly candid.
Because ideally, we'd all love to get this on the next November referendum.
Yes.
And our original contemplation was it's going to be $35,000. Portio's going to do it, will be done, and just the date there by spring next year, it's all done. That would take a different path.
We're applying for the LEAP grant. I think we're probably very eligible for it because the Commissioner of Education told us to do it. What? Yeah, we had some argument there. We applied for it. It was after the fact, and they did give it to us. Their only bugaboo was we didn't go out for RFPs for the study. We went out for RFPs for our educational attorney, consultant, but they didn't accept that. And in the end, they agreed to do it. I think we're probably good. I'll check on that.
It's worth a call.
A call.
Thank you.
And I think that's about it. The only other project is the Ocean Avenue relining in South Beach, a continuation of the project we did 2 or 3 years ago with Rumson. It's a joint project with Rumson. Bill White from Colliers started that project. He's going to finish it. And Rumson's ready to go. So we'll need some funding in place to finish. It's not really even going to finish it. It's going to do a section from a certain number of manholes down. Eventually, both us and Rumson will have to get to the pump station in Monmouth Beach.
Does Rumson have a date
For what? I'm sorry.
for starting this?
We're doing this section of it.
So they're all right with that? I mean, that's-
We've had meetings and we've all been there. They took the lead on the last one. Remember, that was an emergency.
Right.
And we will take the lead on this one. And we split it 50-50, even though flow's not 50-50, but that's the deal. And that's all I have on capital programs.
Excellent.
And I think our clerk is free.
Well, I got something, but
How do we share the screen with Josh?
I don't know.
I don't know if I've done this before.
No.
That's-
Well, it's grayed out. What I read over here, it says you may be for administrator. That's that, which is intro, right?
Yes. Doesn't Candace do that all the time?
She shares the first screen, not have let someone else share.
Josh,
Sorry?
now we're trying to get you in there.
Okay. Looks like you took go to the keyboard on the top right hand side and just go with my name and just hit me presenter. I'm not sure if you go to the sharing screen.
We may have to reschedule. Josh, we may have to reschedule, unfortunately.
No worries.
We're trying to cut this to a meeting.
Yeah, we may have to. What's the workshop in January, Chris?
I don't know the dates.
We didn't set the date yet.
Oh, that's
It's
right.
on the agenda.
It's gonna be discussed today.
Could be
You
Wednesday.
can stay on the call, but Josh,
Yeah.
I think it'd be better for you and better for us if we reschedule to the next workshop, which will be in January, and Councilman Lamia or I will contact you and let you know the date, because we haven't set the dates for next year yet. We're gonna do that. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but we
Yeah,
won't.
and Josh, thanks for dialing in today. Sorry about that. Hey, we'll have a nice holiday there, and we'll see you in January.
Yeah, thank you guys as well. I will talk to you then.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
So I guess we can move on.
Public safety.
Public safety, yeah, and I know the fire department had a few items, police chief, recognize. Oh, it is. So,
Good morning, everybody. I'll stand up. Jack, how are you?
So that people can hear you.
Back to the dredging.
don't call me because the bridge is open for a long, long time. It takes them a long time to pull that pipe all the way through, and I've already heard all about it.
I called you once, too, didn't
You did call me too.
Alright.
I keep her late. Okay, just real quick, and I know you guys have a lot going today. Last month, 355 calls for service, all the normal stuff, warrants, disorderly persons, DWIs, more, 98 or 100 more vehicle stops with someone's issues. I'm not going to go through all the stats because we really didn't have a lot for last year. And I'll give you everything for the end of the year as of next month. One of the things that we did do last month, I know meeting with Brian and Sam, got all that lifeguard equipment out of those garages, put away in an indoor storage over in Ocean Township because we didn't want those things in the elements. They would have been done by the springtime and destroyed. So we did that. Department of Corrections, Jack did come down a couple weeks ago, did all of our inspections again, and hopefully we passed again. We had 2 kids graduate from the academy last night, which was great. And, yes, one of them, we have a couple of good ones. So we have 4, actually 3, not 4 now, 3 starting next month. And we switched over our gas over to Long Branch. Other than that, we just have a lot of year-end stuff going on. There's not a whole big lift. We have a lot of training coming up for the end of the year for our department, but we're actually doing pretty good right now. We're in good shape looking into next year, hopefully. That's where we're at.
Question on the bridge, should we send a Nixle and a Facebook post out just saying, like, we
You
don't
can
have
maybe
it?
put something on Facebook, but really, like, I don't know when they're gonna move that.
That's what I'm
pipe
saying,
back and
like,
forth.
being
It's the next
patient,
one, like, I can never schedule, like, we
Yeah.
need to move the pipe and it takes them
Yeah.
20 minutes to do it.
Right.
And then they gotta organize with the guys working on the bridge and this and that, so I don't know if I can even schedule something like that.
Not-
Maybe
I mean, not
just if you
saying
wanna
the
put something on
time.
Facebook, watch the bridge for delays.
Just saying it will come
Yeah.
up, it pops up.
I think that's a good idea. Just watch the bridge for delays
Yeah,
or whatever,
Don't cancel.
yeah, just,
Just wait.
or just try another rack now, it's,
Try another route. That's all we got. It was a pretty decent one, but we have a lot going on there. We have training all to do today and some stuff. So it's like, we're not in good shape.
Chief, thanks for switching over to Long Branch Street. It's going to save us a lot of money.
Absolutely.
How's it going?
So far, so good. Yeah, so far, so good. Summertime will be a little challenging sometimes, so we'll just have to figure it out. But yeah, it'll be challenging in the summertime on certain days. We definitely know that.
Yeah. Good, thank you for doing that.
Anything else?
Questions?
Questions?
I think we're good.
What are the hours on the fuel?
24 hours a day, Laura.
In a row?
So open 24 hours a day.
So we could send a fire truck down there,
2 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, anytime. Okay?
just wanted to truck out down there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, yeah. All right, notice this queue. Getting one to hear for yourself.
Apparently. 635 as of 20 minutes ago. Year to date. We did our final last burn, live burn, last week to maintain compliance. So that's done. We're getting ready for our refreshers, which is the annual POSHA requirements. That'll be in January. Recruitment drive should kick off probably the first week in January also, just to get the seasonal program back up and going. And that's about it. We had our final elections last night of officers, so I'll get that over to the clerk today, the rework.
Chad, what's the Monmouth County MOU?
So that is, I sent that to everybody's attention via email. With my side job as a fire coordinator with the fire marshal office, it's a position with the sheriff's office, to utilize a borough vehicle. The quid pro quo with that is 3 tanks of fuel monthly, provided by the county, and their pumps.
Okay, that's helpful. And we're going ahead with the mutual aid agreement with Long Branch for next year?
So, I mean, I was going to have a discussion with Mr. Bascom, but it seemed that way. It was, so for those that aren't familiar, we had a fire 2 weeks ago up in 300 block. Long Branch was dispatched per our regular policy. The conversation we had back in May with their BA was that this year was going to be a wash. They weren't concerned about this year because we didn't appropriate any funds to cover the cost. And that came from Mr. Bascom. We had a conversation with their BA. He was good with it. His words are, we provide them with enough aid where he wasn't concerned about Seabrook. our fire truck's down there right now as I speak to you. That's where I was late, that's where I was coming. Like I told Mr. Rooney yesterday, it's an anomaly for us to have 2 fires in town in a year. Doesn't usually happen. And in my opinion, my professional opinion, it's cheap insurance. It was nice that we got that bill because it gave us a preview of what the cost was going to be.
They sent us a bill erroneously.
Yes. Their finance department sent it, not knowing.
700?
It's just shy of 675, I think it was.
75.
What does that cover?
That's their overtime to backfill their firehouse while they're here.
For the event that just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not, I said, what's this? We didn't even sign the agreement yet. Chad called,
670.
Chad called over and
It was good.
they're gonna,
That's very good insurance.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, what you're saying is we had an example of what we're proposing to do next year, for the event that occurred.
Yep.
They erroneously sent us a bill,
Yes.
but we can figure out what it would be on something like that.
Correct.
And there's no way it costs other than what you just described if an event like that happens, covering the overtime for those costs.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
The agreement, or look at it, just, that's all required.
There's no fixed cost of $10 a year plus.
There's no monthly cost, right?
No, it's per.
It's almost per diem type.
Right, yeah. And were they there at like the beginning? They were
Oh,
there the whole
yeah.
time?
Yeah, they pulled up. So our ladder truck was actually at the Long Branch pump when this whole thing happened. They pulled up at the same time. So,
we had a number of departments there. didn't we?
Yes.
That's good. What did you have to say this morning, truck down?
they're there right now. They're at House Fire on Liberty Street. So, and then there's 3 guys back at the fire.
Chief, can you comment, do you have any experience on the Long Range fuel yet? Is that what you meant by pump or something else?
Yes.
So how's that going?
So the concept's fine. The only concern I have is like what happened in 300 block. Our ladder truck is in Long Branch. We have a house fire in 300 block with a worker trapped hurt.
You mean fueling up, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, other than that,
Other than that, no.
it's working out.
It's just that's just the one, and it was the one thing we always talked about, and it was like it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. And then 2 weeks into the agreement, and
Yeah.
it's
So you got it away.
but it is what it is. It just
Thank you.
happens. It's crazy.
It's good. And Joe, what did we think we were gonna save a gallon, close to $1 or something like that?
No, I think it's 30 cents.
So 30 cents.
It was 10,000 a year.
That's about the savings we anticipate, that's great. Thanks.
All right.
Actually, thanks.
Romeo,
Just real quick. It's coming up on fair season.
Yeah.
I'm working on a ride company. I'm having a little bit of a problem with the week that we had to use last year because none of the ride companies are here.
So I was gonna bring this up, is that a good time for us? Do we like that time of year? No, right? Do we need it in?
We don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice?
Yeah, I mean, by the time paid parking ends, it starts to get cold.
Right.
And when paid parking
What
starts,
about further out, like after Monk Beach?
it's the end of September. It's
Not
you know, it's no different than the beginning of May. The weather is the
Okay.
weather. But I don't know if it's a possibility to move it back to the weekend prior.
Well, the weekend prior, was that just getting ready, prepping for beach, like opening day?
it was paid parking
Yeah.
and public works. Really, they're getting gearing up for Memorial Day, and they pretty much have to drop everything to set up for the fair and get it ready.
So either way, I'm running into an issue finding a ride company that could do it the week before, which was the issue we had last year.
So
Why?
we'd be looking at the week of May 9th or so. That's,
It's 9 through 12 or whatever the following weekend is.
Well,
9 through 12, I'm having an issue
yep,
getting a ride company. So the one that thought they were gonna be able to do it, who's from New Jersey, she can't.
okay.
Everybody else I've talked to is either booked or they're not in New Jersey yet. They come in the following weekend to prep for Memorial Day. So
Memorial Day is on the 27th.
27th.
27th. So the 16th, and you said you were having trouble the following week, and the 16th and the 19th?
I haven't tried that yet because I know last year there was a little bit of contention whether we could use the lot or not. So whatever you guys allow me to do, I'll do. But it's going to be a little tough to get rides for that weekend prior. So
17th and 18th. 19th.
16, 17.
Yeah, it'd be 16, 17, 18, 19.
It's gonna be hard to get it for that weekend?
No, that weekend shouldn't be a problem because they all start getting here that week.
DPW is a town question.
Yeah, it's paid parking and,
I mean, we have time, I'm just bringing it up now because it's something we have to start thinking about. I gotta do the special events and all that other stuff, so. I would like to start working on that this month coming.
I mean, do we know how much money we bring in that beginning or not?
I'm sure John knows.
Yeah, John knows.
Decent amount.
Decent amount.
Are you, so for you, September is totally out?
I mean, I can do it in September, it's not a problem. I work with that, it's whatever you guys allow me to do. I can't run with Mama Beach's Fair.
No, of course.
So it would be the last weekend in September. It's the same as the first weekend in May, like the weather's the weather. So if you guys want me to push it to the end of the season, I can do that. I just have to start seeing what the ride companies are and everything else.
So I think it'd be prudent just to give him a call.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been going back and forth with a couple of them because I'm trying to, I know last year there was an issue with us, so we moved it. And I'm trying to kind of work into that same thing. It's just, I'm having a rough time, so.
Well, the September, it solves our problem, doesn't solve your problem.
Yeah.
I mean, city park is done, and public works is the summer, the season's basically
The
over.
biggest problem we run into is that a lot of these ride companies use people from other places. And they don't get here and get their work visas or whatever until like the week after the fair that we ran last year. So that was the problem we had with our ride company was he couldn't fulfill 2 contracts because he didn't have the people. And that's why we had inflatables, so.
September's good for staffing.
September should be a problem. I'll make some phone calls, I'll get back to you. Just want you guys to start thinking it's that time, so.
Sounds good.
I mean, we'll be looking at September 19th, 20th, 19th to the 22nd. I don't know what Beach is.
Do the last weekend.
Yeah, they're either the last weekend or the weekend. I thought they were the weekend after Memorial Day. Or on Labor Day.
Because beach parking ends on the 15th. So then we go into, we have that next, upcoming, it's the 15th, the Sunday next year. So then we go into the 19th to the 22nd.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll get back to you.
Should we also look into the May 16th? Or no, because it's too tight?
Well, that's up to those guys if they want
Public Works will be able to swim in.
Okay, so no, so we'll explore.
All right.
Yeah, I'll put everything together. I'll get back to these next month. Thank you.
we'll make sure. Brian, Mayor, I think I mentioned to you that when John and I met with Public Works Department a week or so ago, and we thought it'd be prudent for Public Works to give a short presentation at these meetings like police. So are you, Dave, sick today? Or
Yes. I have a report.
Okay, come on up.
Welcome to the board.
All right, good morning, team.
I'll just run through this list really quick. Some of the stuff has already been touched on. So as you guys can tell, the beach lockers have already been taken off the beach. We're looking at rebuilding a few of them. We had to get rid of one that we know that was totally destroyed. We're talking about maybe bringing them up off the sand a little bit more so we don't have doors getting stuck on the sand and everything, all the issues that we have with them. We're also talking about maybe painting them a different color than that sand brown tan that they are right now. Maybe something to match these 2 buildings so everybody knows that they're township, that they're ours. The benches on the seawall, we're looking into some solutions with them. Also looking into new trash cans for around this main lot here. Some of the ones over in the gravel lot are starting to get old. We can use Clean Communities and the tonnage grant money for that. We had a notice about the planters around town. We think we have a solution for them, so while we're doing beach lockers, we're gonna start working on them to repaint them, clear coat them so they don't rust and cause issues going forward with the people who donate all of the plants and everything to us. There's a little miscommunication between our department and them.
Yeah, you guys, whatever you decide, you just clear with them, make sure they're cool with it.
Yeah.
You know,
So they originally told us that they were taking care of them. of all the plants, we don't have to water them, we don't have to touch them, they're coming in to do them. And then the complaint that we got was that the planters don't look up to their standards, so if you tell us not to touch it, we're not gonna touch it. I don't wanna screw your business up and whatever it is. The new tractor and mason dome quotes are in, I believe there's
So
a
on that point,
resolution.
we're aware that there's no funding at the moment for them to bring them back, right?
To bring what back?
The planters.
Shoot the flowers and take care of
Yeah, so far,
There is funding. We have the Clean Communities Grant.
Okay, then that. but-
John and I went over that the other
For
day.
us
So we
to
can
do
use
that.
that because the funding that was coming in is on pause right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
The capital improvements for the Ocean Ave lining was already touched on. The trash rack that was broken at the River Street pump station has been fixed. When that originally broke, it broke one of the suction pipes on one of our pumps. Everything's working fine, everything's good, but they're gonna have to go a little bit more in depth on fixing everything. So Greg's working on that with the company who came out to fix the trash rack. They're gonna give us a price on fixing that. We have new valves for the middle pump station that are in. We're just waiting for a time from pump services to come out and install them. Preventive maintenance on all of our vehicles is complete. All of our stuff is now out of the South Street garage. We have some minor stuff in there that's getting moved out currently. And then all of our winter equipment's up and running. So we're a little ahead of schedule on that, but that's always a good thing to be ready just in case one of these random storms hits. So other than that, we're looking into new software that would allow us to track pretty much everything within the public works. Other departments can get on it. If anybody wants to know a little bit more about that, we can talk later.
And what would that do for us, Rob?
So it's pretty much asset tracking, and I would be able, we put really whatever we want to track on it, we can track. So there's a projects tab where somebody can set a project for Public Works. Every time that something gets done, it'll notify you that it's done. There's also a citizen complaint tab that they can do if we wanted to add that in. I told him it might not be right now, but that might be next year type of thing. So they would get notified every time that somebody complains. We would get it, the clerk would get it, anybody who wants to get it can receive it. And every time it gets fixed, they would get a notification back to them. So they don't need a phone call, they don't need an email. It would automatically send something out, this complaint has been taken care of. At the end of a storm, we can put in how many hours our machines got added to that storm, our mileage on trucks, any salt or sand bulk equipment that we use during either projects or winter storms, flooding events, anything like that. We can run a report at the end and you have a full total of what we used during that storm. So whether it's FEMA money or county money reimbursements, whatever it may be, we'd be able to track it, run a report with graphs and anything that we possibly need to go over. So I have a written proposal now, just for budget time, but if anybody wants to look at it, look it over, I can email it over to you and you can take a look. The representative's very nice, we can set up a call, I'm sure he'd be,
I would need that.
yeah. Okay, I can send it all over, but other than that, that's about it.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob, for having Joey and Randy lift those beams for us.
No problem.
Quite a project.
All right, so
Looking good.
that wraps up. So perhaps we want to the fourth item.
Correct.
2024 Borough Council meeting dates. We only have two, well, I won't say only, but two potential changes to the scheduling for next year we're going to discuss today. If you have everybody, one is that the fact that Alexis needs to come back to council next year, he has a professional conference Thursday morning, so when he's going to council, we moved our workshops Wednesday morning. I know I spoke with your colleague, Rich, not to speak for you, but he was fine with it. But because of that, you know, is it, we want to see if anybody was opposed to switching our morning meetings, our meetings to Wednesday at 8:30 instead of Thursday at 8:30 to accommodate that. Otherwise, we'll be down one council member.
No issue here.
No.
Good.
you have a list of the dates, but I kind of wanted to make a recommendation for you folks. I don't know how you feel about it, but in the regular meeting schedule, you folks and professionals are here for 15 minutes. A lot of towns, I think you can accomplish it in one meeting a month. And if you need 2 meetings a month, you can call one, you could always call the other one. But you're paying the professionals for all coming here for those meetings, and it's 10, you're 15 minutes. And in the summer, you do the one meeting, and it kind of works fine. And Chris and I were talking about it. I mean, it could be, you would have the workshop now on Wednesday, and then the following Tuesday, you would have the regularly scheduled meeting.
Just a couple of quick questions. So one is, there's a certain iteration of ordinances and approvals and things that are now going to get pushed in a couple of weeks. In general, does that cause a problem for the operation of the clerk and the administration?
It doesn't cause a problem.
It would be her problem. I didn't.
There's a drumbeat that we operate against, and now we're going to meet half as often. And I understand that if we need a special meeting because of something significant, we can always call one.
We did fine over the summer.
But there's no concern about the reduced frequency, Chris. You know
The
that.
only thing is, if you need to get funding for something quickly, like extend it, but you do a special meeting and adopt a bond ordinance,
Yeah, I mean, today's a good example of we're doing special meetings. So as long as it's not a regular occurrence, having special meetings, that kind of defeats the purpose of it. But
I don't have a horse in the race. I'm just observing.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting suggestion because it does reduce costs, right? It's less demanding on people's schedule. I will say personally, I'm disappointed that we have such low turnout of residents and interested parties coming to our meetings. I mean, if you go to council meetings in other towns, it's not like that in general, and I do go to the council meetings. Because a lot of times when people come, that takes time. So 15 minutes would become an hour, which would not be unusual. It's good for us to hear from residents or people that have concerns, but that's not the dynamic that we have in this town. So unfortunately, it is a very short meeting with very little feedback. In my opinion, as long as we're not messing up a rhythm that is of importance to the town, and we can call a special meeting if we need something, seems reasonable.
I mean, it just will save some costs. And more and more towns, we did a little survey of it. A lot of towns that are only once a month.
Yeah.
Now, the work session is important, obviously. That's where we're discussing.
And again, if we do adopt that, new meeting schedule, if it doesn't work out, it's changed.
We could change it anytime, really.
It becomes problematic, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, Joe mentioned something, an awful lot of towns are going with one meeting a month in the summer, and they're finding that that's all they really need. It's true.
It could also be looked at too, where when you were previously having other meetings, you could have your committee meetings, right? So there could be a lot of productive work being done from the committee standpoint.
On that other Tuesday.
All right, great.
Good idea. We'll redo
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I like the sound of that.
And one other thing too, we maintain a virtual system here for our meetings. A lot of towns stop that, and I think.
That's 4% for people.
Yeah, I think that's great to keep, and some towns said for public comment, you have to come to the meeting, but we're pretty loose with our public.
We are pretty good here about that. So you have to do that 2 meetings a month, still where people can come.
Yeah,
That's nowadays, and you're one of the very few that are still virtual for that. Almost everybody else is out in person and no virtual on.
We maxed out so many times, we got to keep it virtual for the overflow.
That always helps.
Thank you for your consideration. Mayor, the 2024 summer business parking, no comments on it, but you got to keep our eye on it.
Yeah, open-ended question here, how do we solve that riddle?
The church over the bridge, we've approached them in the past, Jack, and they weren't that receptive.
No. Well, I can bring it up again, but they're concerned about it, just for the whole framework. they've gotten a reasonable number of complaints from neighbors about the activity at the church, at the school, and the parking lot. And I think they were afraid if they were to open it up for Seabrighters and for profit or anything, that the antagonism of the neighbors would get worse.
How many business parking passes do we give out?
We did about 122 business parking passes. We made almost over $9,000 off those passes alone. And it's gonna be a problem. I don't know how to solve it. It's not to be addressed. It's not to be addressed. I'm gonna say that because we're gonna be reviewing all the parking in the next few weeks. We've got to start ordering passes and get everything going. So I'm gonna start doing business passes. So it's something we definitely have to look at. I don't know other towns that provide parking for their businesses the way we do. So what's another? It's something we have to sit and someone has to make a hard decision.
Yes, we're not built the way a lot of towns are. I've said it on many occasions. You go to Belmar, you go to Asper, you may have to park 10 blocks away, but there's a parking space. Yeah. We don't have to have blocks here.
What's the school lot situation?
We're using it right now. I don't know when that's going to end. It's up to River right? Joe?
Yeah, he's got approvals. He's ready to go.
Yeah. So we could be losing a ton of parking. That Church Street lot is going to be a heavy hit for us because not only using the business, we let some of the residents park there. We need that lot.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have to find a way to.
So we're not solving it today, but I've asked Chris to keep it on the agendas.
Every week.
There's a tremendous amount of parking in Rumson on public streets. People park over there and walk into Seabright.
We told them to do that.
Yeah. Then Rumson takes some parking away. On Ward Street, they did one side now and things like that. They're feeling the pinch, and they're going to feel the pinch when this summer.
Maybe you should turn in paid parking in law.
Yeah, that's another thing. Even if the business, the employees park in our lot, that's counterproductive.
No.
Even if they pay.
Yeah.
It's just taking it away from the beach, from the restaurants, from our businesses.
It's an age-old problem. I was looking at a picture of Asbury, and it was in the 30s, and the number of cars was unbelievable. So nothing's really changed, right? People are coming here once the weather breaks.
It's kind of hard to shuttle people in. Uber for every employee.
That's all for me. The next one's.
Yeah, I don't know if the answer is that. All right, there's are you speaking next?
Yes.
On the communications calendar, is that a Heather?
Joe, let me ask you a dumb question. Several times I had to do a problem like this in business where I set up van groups. But we found a place for people to park. 7:30 in the morning, there was a van group for 15 employees.
Yeah, that's the only real option.
And I've done that several times successfully. And the employees liked it because they didn't have to find their way into town. So there was a routing point. And you just had a small bus or something driving people. Would we consider doing something like that?
Where we just put it.
Well, that's what we'd have to do. We would have to pursue where is such a spot.
A location, and then
the only option. That's what.
Then a company to do it. Would it be like every hour?
Well, I mean, you could have a situation, not to belabor this, you could have a situation where we find a spot not that far away, and it's a bus that holds 30 people, right? And we have 20, and the start time hopefully is the same for folks who are roundabout. And we have 2 buses run in the morning and 2 buses run in the afternoon.
They do it at C Street, right, to move you from lot to lot.
I mean, it's a very common solution to a
Is that a
very
continuum though? C Street?
Yeah.
C Street, if you get off at Atlantic Highlands and your car's parked at Highlands, I'll let you over.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this is about. We're gonna have to figure something out, because we're gonna have 125 plus.
Most employees are cool with it. I guess it's actually their only option was to park, but that could be an option to find a location on future Walmart or something like that.
And this we're talking about now for business workers, or we're talking about municipal employees now?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, both.
I mean, it works, it definitely works, but it's got its kinks. Okay, something to think about.
No, I think it's a possible option. That's the only thing I can think of, unless we find another spot in Seabright available for lease, but we're going to go see.
We're not in that real estate.
Mountain Beach side streets, that's what we're part of.
Oh, they love that. They find another way to help share mutual aid. All right, so Heather, are you?
Yeah, so I put something up on the screen. So look, I can just talk it to you high level. So essentially what this is a 52-week calendar. So it goes from January all the way to December. And I've just been kind of building it this year based on the activity that we have going on. And this keyboard is going a little crazy. So essentially up here you've got regular ongoing holidays, just general. And then what I did is then the borough actually starts. So you've got administration if there are certain days off, events that we're running here, DPW activities here, if there's anything from a police standpoint, EMS, beach, like paid parking starts or beach badges are for sale. It's just a way to kind of have the whole entire, municipality integrated at a bird's eye view. So we can kind of understand when triggers need to happen, and also talks about what needs to get posted on the website, what needs to get posted on the backlit sign, because currently right now, they're all done by different people. And so it might actually be helpful if there was some person who kind of managed this, not that it's their full-time job, but it's just something where they know everything is kind of connected and going on. This happens, and before the Fireman's Fair starts, DPW goes out, it's kind of keeps that full bird's eye view. So I just pulled this together, and it's been helpful for me. And I've been working with Candace and Frank on communication and trying to get things synced up. Sometimes we miss things because there's like 3 people that have to do one essential communication. So I think just from a moving forward standpoint, it might be helpful if there's someone on the administration side who might want to or be interested in looking at something like this.
Does it include the rec activity?
It includes the rec activity. And then what I've also done is based on what's going on in 2023, all the events for next year and the working date. Usually we come up with these a couple of weeks before the event. That's difficult from an organizational standpoint. It's difficult from an outreach communications standpoint to get it kind of featured on the radio, featured in press, or featured. You need to be working months in advance. So this also just gives people just a heads up of what's coming in.
What's happening.
Is it internal or it's open to the public too?
Well, once everyone feels good about it, like if we were to send a New Year's letter, so Mayor, I don't know if we send a Q1 letter of some type, then we can also include, put these dates down. Here are the running dates for the year. You can begin to plug these things into the calendar. That's why it's great to be talking about the Fireman's Fair, because if we're talking about May versus September, that's huge, right? That's a big decision, good conversation to have right now. So this is just, we kind of essentially have all the major events lined up for next year. Easter egg hunt could be the 24th, Fireman's Fair. That's going to get moved. Farmers Market outside starts to come in May 29th. And so we've got the running list of events that everyone can kind of work towards and knows in advance.
We had the car show, but that was pretty successful.
That was great.
Yeah.
Do they want to come back?
Yes, they do.
I have a car show here, and I remember you talking maybe a spring thing too, but right now we have it just as one for fall.
Yeah, he was at the Christmas thing and he grabbed me and he said he'd love to do two. One in the spring, one in the fall.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then maybe you re-envision what the fair turns into.
It's not me, my plate's full.
I know.
I think that would be a great tool.
Yep.
Make it happen.
So we just need a person who would be designated, not asking for more work. It looks like it, but it's honestly just aggregating kind of communication, making sure all departments are
It could avoid some last minute confusion.
I think it would.
Which would be a benefit.
It helps planning, right? It's more advanced. So that's just something I wanted to.
Could it be like department oriented too, like the wreaths go up the day after Thanksgiving, things like that?
Absolutely. The day after Christmas, you start buying lights for next year, right? It's kind of that sort of in advance workflow.
I think you'll like Rob's software.
I know, I got very excited about that. You tell me.
I forwarded you the proposal.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Text might go similar to that.
That's what I was wondering. It solves some problems, right?
It has that capability, but that is, I think that we have 3 or 4 different pieces that have assets, right? What he talked about has capability, Heather has the, I don't remember the name of what we're using in the back office here, but Edmonds has capability that we haven't looked at yet. I talked to Michelle about it. Text Oven is another vendor that was at the league.
I mean, you know, there's a number of them. I mean, you see in a lot of websites, Report a Concern, which is a proprietary name for.
What we'll do is we'll do what they typically do on Amazon. We'll list the option ones and then what do they offer. And see similarities, who's got the best item, best price point.
So what that we could also do is if we have a designated person, we can sit down in January with the appropriate person from each department and just plug in and sit together and just think about what needs to happen in order to make these events or these elements as successful as possible to make sure all departments are completely integrated.
Very great.
Okay. That's that.
Thanks. Great. Does anyone want to speak to our planters, or is that?
Money's available. Rob, you were going to try to redo them. Let's make sure that's acceptable.
Yeah, well, just check with the potential funding.
Maybe you could do one.
Right.
And take it over and say, this is great.
It was 2 things. One was the overall aesthetic, making sure it looks up, kept. And then 2 was placement. And I had where are the best places for these items.
They're large and they get, some of them get in the way. We talked a little bit about a hanging planter, which is much more petite. I don't know that those little stanchions that are on the poles can handle that, or is it that some other thing? But it was our understanding, because I talked to the vendor in the beginning, they said they would come and water and manicure and change them in the fall. There was no interaction required on our part, but we did lose paint, right? There's some chipping and whatever, and they need attention.
We're not to get off the subject, and I know we got a lot to go over, but the benches along the walkway are rusting and things like that. We've been trying to find different ways to do it. We called the manufacturer. They recommended, what would you call it?
Truck bed coating.
Truck bed liner.
Yeah, truck bed liner paint on them. Rob's going to try one.
Yeah.
And then you also were going to try to go to some sort of a synthetic.
Different.
Yes.
And use our
Use the same slats that are on there, but use
Put them on.
what we have in the Anchorage part. The PVC side instead of the metal stands.
Let's get a permit test it, right? Okay. Maybe get aware.
Yeah.
So over the winter, that's one of the jobs they're going to try. But the planters, I think we need to settle that, and any new trash cans or things that.
Yeah, that would be great. May 15th.
Yeah, they're out.
All right. All right, so in a conversation about the mural for the rec center.
Yeah. So we're waiting for one more submission. And the rec team just hasn't had another meeting since that's come through. So we're hoping to have one more meeting before the end of the year so we can review. But the idea would be in springtime to paint the probably south facing wall of the rec center.
Oh, it would be south, okay.
Yeah.
Is there space there?
It would be between windows and things like that. Heather, just a quick question. Competitive bids, is that what we're doing? We're going out for competitive bids?
For mural? No, we have a $15,000 coming from the grant.
So you said you're waiting for a submission?
You're waiting for design?
It's
Yeah, design.
It's more.
Or who wants to?
Those kind of things are come under the EUS designation, extraordinary and unspecifiable service. So you can just, they're artistic in nature. You could just get it.
I guess my question is, how did we notify people to submit something?
That was through Almanchenko Gallery. She helped and she went out and she got a bunch of artists to submit proposals for this artwork.
And who gets to pick? You?
Yeah, I think the rec team's we've got most of them. There's just one, a local artist who's done some signs for us. They just didn't have time, so we've got the submission. So we'll come in with a recommendation from the rec team and then we'll present it here.
Great.
These are all interior walls we're talking about.
Now exterior.
Exterior. So it's facing south.
Did you give them any constraints, any specs, anything of what we're looking for? Or was it
The
just
building, yeah, they got a brief.
they got a brief?
Brief. The building size, the fact that it's a community center and it's for the children. And if people don't want to do it, if council doesn't want to do it, we don't have to do it.
But you, I think maybe what you meant is, I think it could be I don't want to call it sculpture, but something like that, or it could be a painting, or it could, I think you left it wide open.
Wide open. Artists don't like to be.
Okay, I'm just asking how many will want to fish.
Me too.
I had not heard anything about it. So I'm just trying to learn what we're doing.
Yeah, that's it.
Just to bring some energy and liven up. I mean, it's a community center, so I think it's a nice place to kind of make it feel.
Yeah, so it comes in. I think.
Yeah, right.
So it could be it could be more than a mural, it could be a statue, sculpture work, that sort of thing.
Could be. I haven't seen sculpture, I've just seen kind of art, like painting the mural, like billboardish sort
There's
of
a
concept.
limited budget there, so I don't think we're gonna have,
We have a ceiling.
the building racks.
I mean, the canvas is pretty small. Did we look, I know there was discussion about trying to make that tower look like a lighthouse. Is that part of this conversation?
If an artist thinks it should be a lighthouse, it will be a lighthouse.
If you, I just noticed it because I'm sure you all drive that way. When you leave Monmouth Beach, you go, as soon as you get into Long Branch, on the right, there's a little park.
Yeah.
And they put up a metal, they're working, it must be a volunteer group because you see them there all the time working on it. It's so, I mean, it could be anything. Really.
Yeah, it could be anything. I mean, I think when you drive into Seabright and you see the signs when you come in north or south, it's just a really nice statement. When you see the Seabright wall on Bungalow Road, people are constantly taking pictures down there. I mean, there's, with more developments going in, I think the idea of having just culture is a nice element to bring into Seabright. And it's, again, everyone's choice here. Once you see everything, if you decide for something you don't want to do.
Sounds good.
Just outside here, there's two metal.
Yeah.
I don't know, should they be painted or something, the solid rust?
We talked about it, but there's some aesthetic to being rusty.
It's patina.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be.
We paid for that.
Yeah. We also have the seahorse. The seahorse is in the public works building. That came with that.
We should put the seahorse by the playground.
Somewhere.
That seems like a nice thing.
I think we talked about having it right outside of this building something out off of the ramp and just setting it in the center. Well, Rob, I don't think you were around then, but it never transpired. That's up to you guys, but we felt like right out front here.
Is it evening time? Does a nice job every summer with that seahorse they have in the parking lot? They cleans it, right?
Yeah.
It's nice.
So just so I can answer people's questions, these are designed to be left in the natural state.
Left, yeah.
Doesn't mean it couldn't be painted.
Every year.
We use the rubberized
Truck line.
All right, so next topic, same building, different topic.
Different topic. So,
9 and 10 are probably, we could talk
yeah,
about
I'll
both.
talk them all together. So in that back room, there are these really cool light tables and chairs. And right now, the community center has these very heavy tables and heavy chairs that the seniors are using. So as we've said, the seniors are absolutely welcome to stay in the community center, but once we start opening up the rec room for open gym nights, it's very difficult to move those tables around and get them back. What's currently in that back closet would be amazing to have in the game room. So
They're these.
Exactly.
Yeah, they fold.
There are these and those with the fabric on them. So they would be unbelievable to have over in the rec center because it's so much easier to move in and out and get everything kind of set up. So that would be an ask. if we could get those, use those tables and chairs.
We're not using them, and they could come back and forth.
And we could,
We bought them for the use of this room, but we've never come up with a plan to rent this out.
I have a question. I understand that the seniors are very reluctant to come over here.
yes,
But with the right set of circumstances,
Yes.
they may
yes,
get there.
yes.
Is it your vision that we ultimately would prefer to have them out of there and have that area dedicated to gaming, playing, and stuff like that?
So the ability to have maximum amount of gaming and playing is to have maximum amount of volunteers. It is a volunteer center. We need people there. We're not going to be staffing, paying people to run the community center. That's not where we are right now. So it's going to be, it'll take time to build up that sort of number of volunteers. So right now, it's really not that big a deal for the seniors to be in there 2 nights, 2 afternoons a month, because kids are in school. It really doesn't affect it. So we can work with it. And also connected to that is your old office. We could also make that the seniors room, where they could be in that office, so you don't have to worry about moving anything. They can come in and always use that back room. We would just need to we need to go into the community center and figure out what no longer needs to be there. What can be moved upstairs to the attic? There is actually a ton of room in the attic, and then what needs to be shredded. So I think there needs to be a good old,
Our only concern about the attic is that we tried to get everything out of there because we don't have a lot of space in our building, and a lot of times the staff has to go over there. And I really didn't want somebody up there by themselves.
well, they don't have to be by themselves. They can always have, how often do they go over there?
I think Karen's very
Oh,
often.
there are a lot, okay, for Oprah requests and things like that.
So the room you're talking about is the one where the 5 cabinets are back?
Yeah, where the water intrusions.
Yeah, I mean,
The room needs to be cleaned up.
It needs to be cleaned.
Yeah.
I think we need to do a really
we tore the walls open because of the mold and everything that was in there. But Heather, just one quick thing. When I first got on council, I did a comprehensive review of shreddability of data, right? Because we really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And what we kind of found is you can always find a little bit. But Michelle does an outstanding job, I believe,
Right.
of maintaining what we have to maintain in electronic and everything else. So I don't think that there's a massive amount of space there. I just think, what's the longer term vision of what we want to have happen here? Do we want that to be strictly a rec center and the seniors come over here? This reminds me of the movie Office Space, if you remember. You just make it smaller.
Don't keep my stapler. It's mine.
Yeah, eventually what's going to happen is people are going to say this is becoming untenable, maybe, right? It's hard to change when we're in our 80s or whatever the case may be. But if the long-term approach is to do this and build out the rec center, to me, then find a way to get there.
Right. And
Some of the files are permanent, that's the problem. Tim's are permanent, Candace's are permanent.
That's what's in there.
Well, I'm proposing giving up the area completely where the pool tables are. And John goes to seniors, I talk to the seniors. I know that, they're going to have challenges with it, but half that group would love to be in this room.
Yeah.
There's 1 or 2 people that wouldn't.
Right, I know.
So how do we fix that and have it moving, rather than dragging tables around and squeezing stuff and having DPW clean it up because it's flipping to something else? Is there a longer view of what we want, and then how do we make that happen?
The seniors didn't like this room at the beginning. They came in when it was very loud. These have helped. It's still a loud room, but they haven't been back. They haven't been back since we've done that. So maybe we.
How can we entice them in here?
Let's have a pizza party, right?
I swear,
Yeah, they
next time just have pizza.
We'll have the holiday party there, right? For them, the seniors party?
We could do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
The catered party here?
It'll be nice and
Introduce
cozy
them?
here.
Yeah, put a couple carpets up.
I mean, why wouldn't you want to be looking at that? I might miss your bingo.
The last thing I want to do, no offense, is go back to the old protocol.
I guess the question is, do you want to move it in that direction? Do you want to move it in that direction?
I think so. I think we need to look at is the historical using that other back room as well. There's that old back room that's empty.
Chris's office.
Yeah. So there is space there.
Well, there's files, and that's where Michelle's shredding.
No. The one that's on Ocean Avenue. So when you're in the
Northwest.
historical, there's a doorway, and then where
They
Chris
use that.
used to sit.
That's gonna be a hurricane that's used.
Is it?
Yeah. Unless someone wants to, yeah.
And also just, the stuff that's in the other file room that says shred.
Yeah.
when that gets shred, there's probably gonna be
More
more bags that come in.
That makes sense.
That need to be shredded like
Yeah.
here.
So the shred, does that need to be there, or can it be out in the DPW?
There's other options, right?
Yeah, so I think
Especially.
seniors is one conversation. It's really how do we get the building to be utilized?
Yes.
Because one of the things that happens is you'll be able to rent that building, right? For parties, events.
Yeah.
And so we need it to be really reviewed and open up that office, Jim's old office.
And it needs to be easy,
It needs
because
to be easy.
I have to tell you, that's my concern. You have, you have the farmer's market in there, and Public Works is out of here at 3 o'clock, and then the next morning, starting early, is pickleball. You know, it's gotta be cleaned, it's gotta be easy. We also, we get a $250 or whatever security deposit, you know, so it's clean when it's going, nobody checks that.
Yeah, it can't damage the floor, yeah, events that damage
I mean, the great thing is we have a success story.
Yes.
Right? And how do we make it as functional and easy and operate as possible, so it doesn't have to be reverted back all the time? It's optimized for its intended use. And rather than dragging tables out of there or put them over there, I mean, John goes to the seniors meeting, I go to every other one. I'd be happy to try to influence them out of there.
I think it's enticing. I mean, serious. I think that's just invite them here, have a party here.
Have a party, maybe there's
Maybe an elevator or something.
Problem.
That's not a burden.
Well, the elevator's that's a great piece, right? For-
All right, so
They meet next week, I think, so we'll influence them.
Well, we have the holiday party for them, too, right? So,
do you want to work on that with your committee?
the rec committee?
Yeah,
The holiday
yeah.
party?
No, not just, I mean, everything. We're going, all the topics just covered. And
Well, I don't know how to
New Year.
move, how do we clean out, I think I need, it's an administration piece where we're cleaning, I can't move files out of,
We're not talking about that space. Yeah. We're talking about the area where the seniors meet.
okay.
That big file area is a whole other story.
Well, that needs to be addressed, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
but right now,
asking.
I mean, we started with removing tables instead of the ones that are there. I'm just saying, get that senior meeting out of there completely.
Yeah, and you guys are gonna work on convincing the seniors.
We're gonna try to, yeah, we're gonna try to. But that meeting.
I'm not touching that.
No, I get that. But the room you just asked about is filled with file cabinets that we have to figure out how to fix. And by the way, it's gotta be remediated because we ripped the walls open because they were soaking wet before we painted the place.
Yeah, we haven't closed the door.
So in my mind, step one is we want the rec center to be a dedicated rec center. We don't want the seniors in there if we can avoid it. So we have to get them out of there, then you can get another pool table, whatever it is you want to get. But what are you making a face about?
No, it's just fun, it's the presentation.
Yeah, it is, it's pretty.
We'll give it a try. And the last, not the last thing.
Just so I'm clear.
I'm not telling the seniors that they have to move out of the rec center.
No, I started with what would you like to have happen?
I'll help out with that. Okay. When's the next meeting?
Yeah, I'll tell them that Heather wants you out of there.
Heather said.
I think next Wednesday they have a regular bingo. I have a.
Yeah, they do on Wednesday, and the holiday meeting is when Adelina can go.
Yeah, because Adelina.
How is that?
Oh, so the holiday party is not until after?
And I just found that out yesterday, which is a whole other issue on sorting out the contribution to their Christmas gift. And we're getting different answers from different
I've got
places.
an email from Christie saying.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's different than what Joe said. So we gotta sort that out.
I think we'll win them over. Once we show them how nice it is in here, we'll then come back in.
Okay, and then the farmer's market, it's going well.
The only thing John and I were talking about, I believe we ought to require them to get a moving blanket for under their tables.
That's fine.
Like John said, you get it at Harbor Freight for $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that floor's so nice, like, we don't wanna take a
They know,
switch wear and tear it is.
they're very aware that if anything happens, that they, that opportunity is no longer there. So they take it very seriously and they sweep and they clean up. The last time they did it, you went in and you couldn't even tell that anything was even there.
I'm just worried about the scratching, not unintentional, not dropping a coffee or any of that stuff.
Right. But I think also just knowing from a regular maintenance standpoint, like the guy who did the floors before anything, he said you need to maintain it every 2 years. It's just normal wear, right? So then we should plan to have the floors maintained.
Let's get with Don and talk to him, to have that guy come back.
How can we get the word to the farmer's market, though, that we want them to put something down?
I heard Jen.
Oh,
She
okay.
doesn't.
Yeah, they're cheap. How many tables do we
It
typically?
depends on the vendor. I mean, how many vendors? Yesterday there was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The farmer has the most, probably 10 tables.
So if we bought a dozen blankets, it's $100. Because they literally run them on sale for
Yeah.
like $6.99 if we look.
And so there are a bunch of people from Fairhaven, Highlands, Atlantic Highlands, so we are starting to pull people in from multiple areas. So if anyone can spread more word, it's,
Open up a table, so there's blankets.
yeah. So anything, but we want to just formalize it here that everyone's aware it's going to be on a weekly basis, farmer's market on Wednesdays.
Yeah, the key is we want to get the blankets. We don't want
Yeah.
to keep having, and then we say, oops, we hurt the floor, we shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Should we go buy them and charge them $10 or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And so they don't have to go there.
We keep them.
Maybe we could do that.
That's why it'll be standard, we'll get all the same
Yeah.
color or whatever.
They set the specific hours every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday from 12 to 6.
Do they do their own advertisements?
They do. The woman who runs it, here, she's got 16,000 emails. She sends it out in blasts. I mean, I've written the Two River Times. I've invited Lori Draws from Monmouth Journal to come over to take a look at the farmers market and the historical society. So just trying to get kind of more communication out there. Because the more people who come, the more vendors you'll get. Like and then more people you get into the rec center, which becomes, oh, look at this space. Maybe I can rent it. You know, it has so many benefits that it's just a great way to kind of bring people in and just get more energy.
Heather, just a quick question. One of the concerns I always have is liability. What happens if somebody falls on something? When the market is done for the day, is somebody on the market team responsible to sweep the floor?
Jen, who here, she runs it, she sweeps everything.
Oh, she does. So she has the obligation to
Yeah.
make sure there's no leftovers.
Yeah.
Well, she asked us, was, can we get her the,
Better cleaning supplies.
the stuff we have is dated.
But she takes care of it.
It's that old big thing.
It's a real wide mop.
I think it's like 20 years old.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Frank
I just,
told me he had one when he was at Brookdale to do the gym floors. He said it was spectacular.
Yeah.
He was looking at where he got it.
And the only other thing is the key lock. We were trying to work on that.
So what we talked about, the chief had some quotes, but they were expensive. The one that I looked at was really cheap.
So what do we need to do to get the padlock?
He's not
done?
here, but John, I think what we need to do is have Tom Hagee look at both of them because they're fire push bars and everything.
Yeah.
So I'll have Tom tell us what we have to do to get that and be compliant. Yeah, and I hope he can say the $300.
Tina.
But there's some problem with the fire exits that.
Well, the one I looked at accommodates the fire exits, but you have to hit a button.
Right.
It says push to exit. Now, if that's an issue, it could be, but.
I'll ask Tom.
Because technically, the push thing is gonna open that door no matter what, right? The latch is already open at that point.
Does it require power?
There is power to the left side. So there is an outlet there and all of that stuff.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay,
not a big deal. Yeah.
All right, I'll ask Tom to start the process.
And that's an efficiency piece, right? Because right now the police have to go in and open yoga, open.
We're open a couple times a day,
Yeah.
sometimes we're not on time.
I know, I get texts, some in the middle of
And you know
phone
what?
calls and yoga is
They
not.
have to wait, we looked at some mechanisms and they are
It's not the best use of your
expensive.
time.
The frames for the door have to be
Yeah.
changed, that's a big to do, but
It's a
we.
big to do, and it will relieve you of a responsibility that you should not be.
No, we don't want to do something, we're just not getting it on time.
Right.
Wait,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
and I'll work with you just to give a complete presentation to the JIF of everything that's going on there, just so they're aware, in case, as Earl mentioned, somebody takes a tumble, at least it's on record what we've done, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, they ought to know. I mean, but it's not uncommon.
It's a community center, right?
There's everybody,
So I just
the
like,
youth center.
just to have it down though, on paper, this is what we're doing, so
Okay.
that they can't come in and say.
And there are paid clinics coming in now too, right? So come January, there are 2 paid soccer clinics coming in. Don's got that for Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's why the farmers market had moved to Wednesday. So there's activity coming in there, so.
And we're getting a lot of requests. We got a wrestling request. I don't know where you do it with the mats then, though.
That, actually, we can find a mat, like we do for a pool, we put the liner over and it's connected on a roll, and you just roll it out, roll it back.
Well, it's big, it takes up a lot of space.
But it depends on, if you want to maximize the use of the space,
Yep.
it should be a self-funded center, right?
And we talked about in January to start even pickleball or things like that, $5 or something for maintenance and cleaning.
Go to solid waste ordinance.
Solid waste ordinance. John took a look at it. I took a look at it. Chris got us some examples. We ran into a problem with someone putting out so much bulk. And the police did their thing and went over to him, and he's mad because he went into our ordinance and there's no number. He said, it doesn't say I can only put out
The ordinance says you put out your stuff on Thursday.
That's all. We got Wall Townships, we got Long Branches, we got Bricks. They all have a number. So we need a number.
Yeah, it was for items.
Well, what happens is we have rentals, right? And the renter leaves,
I know
all their
it's
stuff is on the curb. And it depends how much stuff they had.
Right. Some of them just clean the whole place out, and it's just too much. The sanitation company says, I stopped there and my truck's full.
Yeah.
I can't get the rest of your town.
Some towns say that if you're doing that, you need to get your own container, right? This is for regular general public.
I mean, I was talking to Brian about it. I mean, if you want to get rid of, you're redoing a room, a bedroom, you're going to have a box, bring a mattress, you're going to have a bureau, you're going to have a night table. That's 4 pieces. Maybe you say 5.
Yeah, I would think something not too restrictive. I can see making some guidance in there, but something too restrictive.
I don't know. That's all subjective. I just think that there's
The real issue is whether the truck can finish the town after it picks that one up.
What was happening though too with the cross street homes we're talking about, it wasn't it was the fact that he kept saying, well, this isn't from my apartment, someone's just driving over and dumping it here. Well, no one's dumping it. So we were getting it was more of, it's not my stuff, not from my building. Like, well, yes it is, these people just moved out, that's their stuff. Like, people just dumping it on my property, no they're not. So that's more of what the problem.
And it may help itself when those 8 homes are built. They're not going to be able to put it out in front of those.
Yeah. John, you want to make some suggestions at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Joe, is there anything defined in our ordinance right now on limitation what you can put out?
No.
There's 0.
It says
One bulk.
Thursday, no bulk day.
We changed the other ordinance to limit the number of containers.
Right, like we all know in other towns, they do put limitations on what you can put out. And if you put a certain thing out, you have to come into the town and pay a fee for it.
White goods.
It gets a little bit complicated with the trash department.
That's already in place though.
We have white goods in place.
Yeah.
But they have to pay a fee.
So we just need to quantify what we allow on bulk day.
Yeah. All right, fair enough.
And it's just limiting the number.
It still doesn't mean he put it out,
Yeah.
but at least now you have a leg to stand on and say.
No, so if they don't want somebody renovating and
Just
dumping
leave it there for
there.
next Thursday.
The good thing is.
Well, my view was, if the truck went to your house and picked up 2, and your house and picked up 2, and yours, it's the same amount. It's not like a whole area empties out,
Yeah.
but we're trying to work with the collector too. Like, he's got his.
The good news is usually it'll be in front of the person's house so you can figure out who it is.
All right. Next one is the noise ordinance.
Rich, I'm going to ask you to talk about that. I did get a call from Mark Lexstein about it. Mark was always passionate about this.
We got a call from Mark.
He told me he spoke with
I got a call.
you or Rich, I don't know.
Spoke to Rick.
He feels that we ought to appeal the decision.
I think it's really a decision you can make in January, and I think Mark can express to you what he feels on. I don't take it upon myself to tell you now what Mark thinks. You don't have to make a decision now because there has been no final order. There's a decision. The other side has agreed to drop all of their other claims in the lawsuit. So we said, that's fine with us, obviously, let's put an end to it. So they're going to prepare an order. Once that order gets filed, you have 45 days to decide whether to appeal. So that's not going to happen until around the end of the year at the earliest, by the time they get it to us. So you'll have the opportunity in January to have a discussion, and Mark can make his case at that point. It's going to be up to the council. We're not recommending that you feel. I think there's probably easier ways to deal with it than try to take it on the field, but that's up to
I guess that needs to.
Yeah, I said, get a Monmouth Regional Health Commission and go to the county. So we're not subject to Monmouth Regional Health.
Either way, then, like you said, we have time, we can hear him out in January.
Joe, are there two subjects here? One is, do we want to modify our existing ordinance? And the second that was being talked about, I guess, that I don't know much about, is an ongoing litigation around the prior case. Are there two different subjects?
The existing ordinance is really what you call a noise nuisance ordinance.
Okay.
In New Jersey, a noise ordinance has to conform with DEP regulations, which means if you want a noise ordinance, you have to adopt an ordinance that's a model ordinance in the state, and that's based on decibel reading.
Yeah.
The only way you can enforce it is to have certified decibel meters with certified operators.
You certified?
Chief told me.
Myself and Chad were certified probably 50, 60 years ago.
I
was going to bring it up for ambulance, and I will tell you, it wasn't easy on us. It wasn't, it's something I wouldn't recommend again.
Recertify every year?
Yeah.
It's a waste of time.
It's not an easy thing to do.
It was terrible.
And it's very rarely used in my experience. Okay? And I'll give you an example where it is used, and it's used for a very specific purpose. Seagirt introduced an ordinance, a noise ordinance. The only place they use it is at the park house. Okay? It was an objective way to go stand at the nearest property line and determine whether or not the noise from the apartment house exceeded the permissible levels under the state regulation. It's very rare that you see towns use it as a noise ordinance. The other kind of ordinance, which is the one that we had, is referred to as a noise nuisance ordinance. So it tries to set up some verbal standard to explain what it is that's a nuisance. Always very difficult to enforce, always. And when challenged substantively, always a difficult ordinance to support. There are examples of how you can do that. In our case, the judge's decision was that you can't enforce your ordinance because it's preempted by the Regional Health Commission. Neither Rich Ackley or I agree with that. I know that Mark doesn't either, based on what he told Rick. Do we want to take an appeal? I don't think so, because I don't see the point in spending money. You can either leave the Regional Health Commission and go to the county. You can ask the Regional Health Commission to change its ordinance, right? Or if you have a real issue someplace, you can do a noise ordinance. And my understanding is we haven't really had noise complaints in years. Right?
And it doesn't,
the whole thing was done as a result of complaints from one place and essentially from one person. I mean, that's why they were.
But I think we want to protect for the future, right? So like Rory's,
So I can tell you, and most of our noise complaints come from, they're pretty simple. The music is on after 10 o'clock at night. Can you guys go shut the music down? No problem. This guy has to weed whacker at 6 o'clock in the morning. You can't have till 7. Can you please turn off till 7? It's not really an issue. It's pretty easy. It's enforceable. It's easy to do. It's black and white, right in our ordinance about times, locations, construction noise, emergency, audible music, non-audible music. The complaints that we have, they're really, the past 6 months, they're not heavy lifts for us. They're pretty easy to handle.
And it's my understanding that the noise ordinance that utilizes decibels is only for amplified.
Correct. Voice.
Only for amplified voice. So it wouldn't work at Tommy's at the time because they didn't have it amplified. It was just so many people, crowd noise that were in the back that upset the Nautilus, and you know, cornhole and everything else, you know, people drinking. and-
Apartment house, it's music, it's the band, what does the band sound like?
Right, so that, not that that's easier, but that's really definable. Ours was, our complaints were
It's a
not.
discussion you really don't need to have now, and I know, yes, I know you're gonna have it in January.
Yeah, see a special meeting.
I've already been told.
Our first
special session will be held in January, so.
Yeah.
Might as well wait. Why do it twice?
I heard it.
That's all it's done.
At the end, they said, I guess.
It would be too much fun to do it twice.
Another thing, I mean, borough fees.
Chris, you put that on for, it's gonna be at the rework meeting?
Yeah, those fees go on the annual rework meeting, if there's a change anything, that would be time to speak up.
All right.
Are we gonna change? Is there a price that we change?
We changed the,
Yeah, beach fee, right.
beach fee for pre-season sales was 50 to 75. But we haven't really changed other fees in a while, in a long time. I don't know that they need to be changed, I'm just saying, like Chris said, if
I
you
just
want.
remember hearing something about this discussion.
I think I picked up my beach badge as long as this year.
Yeah, I think we left everything else alone except we went from 50 to 75.
I think we did. Beach badge donation request,
That's on here because we spoke about it a few months ago. We're making restrictions on, we just got in this batch, a request from the Sayreville organization. I mean, they're coming in all over the place, so.
yeah, do we want to limit it to Monmouth County groups and organizations? I mean, Sayreville's a stretch, maybe we're their beach, I don't know, maybe this is Sarah's.
Chris, how many do you think reasonably we should assume we're going to request for? If you had to just guess, would it be 20, 12, 40?
40,
40.
30 or 40.
Yeah, we had some limited discussion about this, and I think we kind of said, let it go this year, right? But we're going to put something in place that has a framework that basically says, we're open to this, we understand the benefit, and we're going to cap it at 25. I'm making a number up, whatever the council decides. First come, first serve. Right?
Because, but then how do you,
I don't really like that.
don't you look at the merit on some of
Like
them
here's the
also?
SPCA we do every year, that's in the fall, so they don't usually ask us until later in the year for their event, but we like to give it to them.
And the library fundraiser.
I mean, 40 will become 60.
Or we just say 40.
Every year it goes up, I'll
Yeah.
say that.
So is there a point where we say, okay, that we got to cut it off soon?
And it's really not even it's more principle oriented, I think, than.
Yeah, it doesn't cost us.
No, yeah, I understand that. I get that.
And you don't know that they're actually gonna use them. I knew people that bought ones every year, and they sat on the table, they never used them.
Yeah, plus when people come, they hopefully spend money across the street and stuff like that. So it's not, it doesn't cost us anything, I get that, and they park. But it felt like it was getting a little bit far-reaching for what you normally want to do.
Like this Sayreville organization, probably a nice organization, but it just sounded long.
Maybe we should buy it. What do they got?
Yeah.
Yes, what do they have?
Hey, Chris and Joe, maybe you look at what you've got and you bring it forward to us. I mean, Joe just said something which made a lot of sense to me, Monmouth County, right? I don't know if of the 40, 12 of them outside of Monmouth County. But is there a filter? Is there nonprofit? Is there church? I'm making this up. Is there some filter that we would want to apply that school would get them? And I don't know what that answer is because 40 will become 60, will become 80.
I mean, they're all nonprofits.
Yeah, I don't know the list. I'm just saying, maybe you looking at the list could say, here's a thought, let's filter them this way.
Well, there you have it.
They're all nonprofits. Do you want to make it Monmouth County? I mean, it's,
No, yeah.
yeah.
We can give it a number, so the number will be 50, and say we all, you know.
How would we do that? Would we have to do a resolution or like, how would we make our rules?
Why don't you let me send you something out of
Okay.
And
Okay,
also,
sounds good.
you're out like this.
Yeah.
But in the meantime-
All right, so this one, so the movie film crew, they want the space next door here. I guess the question is, how long is it for? What is it?
It's for 2 2 days, I think. January 11th and 12th, I believe.
That's coming up next month. So is the main question is how much to rent it for?
Well, we can charge them a fee, they're willing to pay, but, I don't know, we were talking, I said maybe $2,500.
Well, the last crew that came in was very generous.
Yeah.
They were filming here also, they were.
They're just hard.
Yeah, nice. In Mount Beach. We had a nice good time.
How many spots are in Peninsula?
They'll fill that if it's,
Yeah,
or if
so charter on it.
the tractor trailers alone, we'll probably fill up that whole lot, I think.
It'd be good, we all know it'd be great to have everybody here in January, so we don't want to, just looking at
2 days?
little
It says the
activity.
10th through the 12th on their email.
Chief says 25 is fair.
That film ready to wrap.
Yeah, we're working on that, right?
Yeah, that sounds.
Sounds reasonable. Just take a look at it, and you'll evaluate it going forward.
I know you're taking the lead on this whole issue about Film Ready New Jersey thing, and that you, as you said, there's no workshop until later, so we're kind of on idle right now.
Right.
Down the road, that would be something we would deal with here, so that doesn't apply.
Right.
I think something like 25 grand a day.
A day for the 2 days.
That's up to you guys, it's not, if they have deep pockets, we'll pay it.
Right, they have deep pockets.
I just have I don't feel comfortable calling how much it is, I need what you guys to do with it.
Yeah, as long as you don't scare away.
Yeah, that's right. We don't really know the scope. If they brought 100 vehicles, it's a deal. If they brought 5, you gouge them.
Can you ask them how many vehicles?
They said about 70. 70. But that's also a couple tractor trailers going from too, so it could be a lot more.
Days. All right, that's done. All right, so we have a list of next on the agenda.
And I have to add another one. Roger, will you have the Perrin resolution ready for next Tuesday?
Yes.
Well, it's just a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement.
Yeah, good. It'll be right. I have some issues on the details, but we can move forward with the resolution.
And so there is an executive session, correct, or no? Yes.
Mhm.